Mytikas. This is a game here at the top of Mount Olympus. And you are builders who are trying to get close to Olympus and make sacrifices to the gods. This is not a theme that really attracts me much because it just seems particularly uninteresting. Let's see how it plays.
This is the main board where you're going to be building buildings, although this is another main board over here. We'll be taking actions, and each player will have their own board in front of them. Now, your own board is going to show you buildings that you're going to build, and you want to build buildings because at the end of the game, buildings are going to give you points based on, well, it shows you here, ×4, on also what level they're built. Each of these numbers here is a plot where a building can be built, and having them all filled on 3 of the 4 levels will trigger the end of the game. The game will also trigger when somebody has built all their buildings, and also if all the gods are unlocked. You're also going to score points from gods. Each player will start with one. So here I have Hermes that I'm starting with, who gives me points for, well, having god cards. And they also give you a special ability. And you'll start with an offering token on them, and that's going to matter. So I talked about the end of the game. I talked about points. The way the game is played is on your turn. You will take your character, and you are going to place them on a spot where nobody else is. And so as you place them, you'll notice there's going to be a lot of spots that are full, but there is a day and a night to these different actions. When you go to a spot, you will take the main part of that action. This one, for example, gives me a favor token. If you have the favor token that matches that color, so let's say I already had the blue favor token, I would also get to do this action down here, which is going to let me build some resources here. And we'll talk about that in a second on how that works. If someone else has a blue token, when I take that action, they may spend their token. You don't spend your token to get the bonus. It just happens automatically. But anybody else can spend a token to take the main action after you are. So if I really want to build one of my temples and someone else goes there, I'm like, man, I really want to do that now, and I have a yellow token, I can spend it to be able to take that action. The actions are going to be mostly getting resources. So there are 3 resources in the game: gold, marble, and stone. When you get these resources, they're often going to be put on your board here in different spots, usually based on the things that are producing them. Other actions are going to allow you to move them up because you need to get them up to the higher tiers if you want to build something there. When you build more of these production places or temples, each of them has a cost, which is shown here on the side of the board. And when you build them, you also get a bonus like this one here. For example, when I build the big temple, will give me 2 favor tokens. Other than that, I want to get these offering glory tokens. I can go here. I get more based on temples. And when you make an offering, you can put these on gods. Now, why do you want to do that? Well, if I put more tokens on a god than is already there, I will steal that god from another player. Or I can take the face-up one over here. Once a god has a certain amount of tokens on, so let's say this god had 4 on, I'll take these off and take this level 4 lock token and put on him. Nobody can take that from me the rest of the game, and that reveals another god, in this case Aphrodite, who can be taken and claimed. But now the lock number goes up to 5 or 6, and the number of those out is based on the number of players. And that's basically the game. You're going to go back and forth. These gods were going to give you special abilities that, like, for example, Hera here says that when you go, let me get this into focus here. Hera says that when you go to this spot, you're going to get a bonus, basically where you have here. And then at the end of the game, she will also give bonus points. So you have to decide, which gods are going to help give you the bonus points, but they're also going to give you special abilities throughout the game. Once the game's over, you count the points, which are mostly from having built buildings and having gods, and whoever has the most is the winner.
This is what we would call a worker movement game because you put your worker out, you have one worker, and they move to a different spot. You're going to find that those spots are covered up. The spot you want is there. So this game has a very interesting flow. There's a couple interesting things about it. First, getting the resources. You put them, and then you need to move them up the mountain. You definitely want stuff up the mountain because up in the mountain, building up there is going to get you better points at the end of the game. But you're also fighting over these gods, which can give powerful bonuses and also give you points at the end of the game. So there's 2 distinct strategies there. But all of it revolves around these favor discs. And it's really interesting because I played with some people who are like, I do not want to spend these favor discs. So I'll get one of each color, and then I just go to spots and always get the bonuses. Now, here's the thing, though. If you take a disc and there's no disc left to take, then you take one from somebody else, which means they might not have one. But spending them gives you extra actions, and you have to know when to do that because you want to get these extra actions. It will save you time. Someone's getting resources. You're like, I would also like to get resources at this point in time. Okay, so now my turn, I can go to this other spot, and it saves me a bunch of actions. But if you spend them willy-nilly, then you don't have any, and not having any makes them hard to get them back because 2 of the ways to get favor discs are on bonuses for which you need favor discs. So that's kind of an interesting back and forth. The game does not ask its welcome. It says in here it's 30 to 60 minutes. I would say it's closer to 45 to 60 minutes. But there's some interesting concepts here. I don't think it looks particularly great. And I think it takes a bit to understand all the symbology. I think it makes sense after a while. And the gods, looking them up and seeing what their powers are. But I was pretty pleased with this one. I'll give it a 7 out of 10.